Okay, good evening, everybody. My name's Jen, and I am joining you from Fort Worth, Texas. We're here. It's 7 p.m. Central Time. I know a lot of my friends are on Eastern Time, and just hopping on here to have weekly discussion about some hot topics in healthcare and healthcare hot topics. And one of the things this time of year is cold, flu season. Some of the best ways you can prevent that is washing your hands, staying away from sick people. One of the things I do is leave my shoes when I come home, leave my work shoes like at the front door. I don't take those in the house. And also staying well rested, which is hard, especially when you work in healthcare. And also making sure, you're staying hydrated, you're drinking enough water, and that you're taking, time for yourself. That's a lot easier said than done. Easier said than done sometimes, trust me. And I know for a lot of people, especially if you work in healthcare, that, I think Florida is one of the only states now that, since COVID, that in Florida with COVID, since if you don't get a flu shot, then you still don't have to wear a mask in the hospital setting. That is one of the only states that I know about that other hospitals, especially my health system, have been if you didn't get the flu shot by October 31st, Halloween, then you could always change your mind. But if you chose not to get it for whatever reason, just as long as you, mark down that you weren't getting it, and declining it, then you have to wear a mask till I believe the end of March, which, pre-COVID, when I lived in Ohio and worked for some of the hospitals there, their deadline to get the flu, now mind you, this was pre-COVID, for us to get the flu shot was December 31st. And then if you didn't have it by then you would have to wear a mask if you declined for certain reasons. And then you would have to wear a mask through the end of March. And so now we have a lot of people, coming and get their flu shots because they don't want to wear a mask for the whole, season, where it's, that's their choice. You don't, where I work, we, don't force, vaccines on people. We just, have them decline. We educate them and have them decline. So we do that. But there are some, I know nursing schools and other, programs where you do have to, in order to do clinicals, have to have those vaccines. And also a lot of times as people grow up, they lose their vaccine. So make sure you're keeping those important documents, such as your vaccine records, with you. Keep them with important documents like your birth certificate, passport, social security card. Keep those important papers in a place because sometimes when you change jobs, you will need that information, especially when you're working in healthcare. And then also want to talk about, this is time of year as holidays are approaching. Actually, they're approaching very, very fast. That you don't have to do all the things. And as what I mean by that is you don't have to go to all the functions, all the events. It's okay. I am one of those people that would used to, kind of sign up to work the holidays, to, negate a lot of drama, be able to get overtime. It was great. I would just like always trade to get my birthday off. I was like, I'll work New Year's Eve if I didn't have plans, or Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day, or New Year's Day, to get off for my birthday. So, because I was like, these others, I'm getting, overtime and holiday pay. So I was great with that. And thankfully, my family usually understood, because a lot of times they would go away for the holidays. My stepmom would go visit her relatives in Florida, or Kentucky and Tennessee. And when she was working, she only had a certain time off every year. And usually those were the times I was working or was working and in school. So we would always celebrate, the holidays, not on the actual holiday, but either, before or after. Especially as I became an adult, it wasn't about having to spend time with people on a certain day. We, made it work for us and our family and still spent quality time together. But I know a lot of people struggle with family relationships and boundaries, and you don't have to go to all the places. I know for me, as my parents had divorced, and my stepmom's been my stepmom for almost 40 years, almost. Then, seeing all those, trying to see everybody, sometimes it can get chaotic, especially if you have, a partner who also has, divorced parents, and, trying to see everybody and all the family in 1 or 2 days, it can be a lot. And also, even if you live close by, and the people that, may live far apart, deciding ahead of time whose family you're going to see and when, so you don't have all that, pressure, and things can be decided ahead of time, because then that kind of steals the joy when you're just, rushed to go from place to place and really don't get to, really spend time, relax with your families. And so I just learned, especially with the holiday season, to really slow down and have the joy of missing out, because I love my family, but I cannot be there. No buts. And I also cannot be there at every function, and that's okay. And my parents cannot come to every function, and this was even when I lived in the same city, or, just an hour and a half away. And now, living cross country, and I still speak to my folks once a week or more. And I, understand, especially as an adult, the true meaning of the holidays is, really spending, that quality time and creating memories. It's, not about, the gifts under the tree, or, if you celebrate Christmas. It's just about having that time with your family and friends, or your chosen family, which a lot of people is their friends. And you don't have to do all the Christmas events. If you don't want to drive around looking at Christmas lights, if that's not your thing, then don't do it. Now, if you have kids that want to go, maybe have your spouse go, or your partner, or another family member who wants to go, and maybe trade off. I know one of my coworkers is what they said that they did, which I thought was a brilliant idea, that a bunch of them, just because of the stress of driving around, but they wanted to see Christmas lights, is what a bunch of them did. The families and stuff, is they rented a limo, so they didn't have to, get in and out. They could just, really relax, see the lights. And I thought oh my gosh, that is such a genius idea. Everybody in the family chipped in, and it wasn't that expensive, and it was a lot easier then, going to the lights, parking. And I know a lot of people like to do the lights at the zoo, but sometimes the weather and it's cold. And, if you're like me, I don't like to be cold. And I know sometimes, little ones, they don't like to be in cold, and it can kind of be like miserable. But also understanding those expectations, not everybody wants to do all the activities. Some people love to see the ballet, see the Nutcracker. A lot of people love the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Yeah, I am not one of those people, and it's okay. So knowing what you want to do, ahead of time, of maybe just having 1 or 2 holiday activities, if it's going to the lights or going ice skating or something, where you don't have to do every single Christmas activity. It's still going to be Christmas regardless if you do all the activities, but have some that you want to do and see which ones you can go to, because there's a lot of free activities too for kids and families to go to, so it doesn't put a big financial strain on people, especially during the holidays. So I would just, check that out, what's in your local area for you to do. Or if you're visiting family, what are, some family fun things that everybody can do, and only do like 1 or 2. Like I said, you don't have to do all of them. There's no prize if you do all of them. And just, enjoy that time that you have. And the holidays are not a competition. They're just not. And even Bruce and I, we were debating, we're like, are we even going to put up a Christmas tree this year? Last year we did, and it was great. This year with the puppy, we're like, we don't have any, puppy safe ornaments, and we don't want, temptation to come to her right now because she's still not puppy stage. So for us, we're like, okay, if we don't put up a big tree, like nobody's going to care. Like nobody's even going to know. So except for our close, friends and family. And we're not stressing ourselves about it. It's still going to be Christmas. We've agreed, that we'll get a, wreath on the door and, something like that, put a Christmas rug out, and we'll be good, and maybe some smelly good, Christmas candles. And that's fine, for us, but again, like we don't have little kids. We have our granddaughter, that lives, a couple hours away. And, she may, last year she loved the tree and the lights, and she's at that age, but, we also want to keep, Puppy safe, and Puppy gets tempted a lot. She likes to choose shoes right now. And somebody, not me, keeps leaving their shoes out, and she got a hold of some flip-flops, which that was funny. And, she's a puppy. You can't really get mad. And so, I'm putting up I'm putting up my shoes, all the things. So I'm like, if she's like chewing up shoes at this stage, in a month, she's still going to be doing it. So let's, alleviate some of that temptation for her and just, work with her on, some other things right now. But again, it's still going to be Christmas, whether we put a tree up or not. So I'm really just unbothered by it. Because I know I'll be, spending time with friends and family in a couple weeks where, I'll be visiting Ohio, visiting some friends and family briefly, which will be a lot of fun. I haven't been back home since I moved, but I have been able to see a lot of my friends at events, thankfully, and that's been really good for me. And I do miss my family and friends and can't wait to see them. And that's kind of what like our big Christmas thing is this year. Bruce and I, we do a lot of, I'm going to say, events and experiences versus giving gifts. And I think that's another thing people can do is him and I like we've done a lot of like the paint classes, and when his folks were here, we did a paint and wine class, just going to the museums. We went to the jazz club. We've gone to, some Rangers baseball games, gone to a hockey game, gone to a couple college football games here. And I know we have tickets to like a concert coming up in a couple months. But for us, it's just choosing those experiences. We've gone to one of the really pretty campground sites, Broken Bow, which was really nice cabins. We've gone to Austin, and we're going to Ohio, which will be really great. But for us, it's not about the actual like gifts, because we're like, we're adults, we can, buy whatever, within reason, within reason. So we try and create experiences. And I know like he'll be like making me a birthday cake. Those kind of small gestures mean more than, some of the big gestures. And that's another thing, baking with your family, baking Christmas cookies, that is, something you could do that maybe doesn't, cost a lot. I know my sister would always, do that for people, always make like cookies or, handmade ornaments. So those are traditions like you can start where it doesn't cost a lot of money. I'm not saying go to Hobby Lobby and try and make these huge expensive ornaments that are going to cost you more in the supplies than going to the store and getting one for somebody, because sometimes the DIY cost more than actually getting a gift. And when we talk about money in the holidays, a lot of people don't want to be honest about like what their expectations of the holidays are and what, their budget is. Now this year, like Bruce and I were just like, we're buying for the kids and, that, which would be, our granddaughter and then his niece and nephew, and then one of my other friends, buying for them, because it'll be the first Christmas that they'll have with their son, because I have friends that are adopting, so we want to make this Christmas special for them. So those little things. I know my friends do a Buddy the movie night. They go to, last year we did it, and they did it the year before. I had to miss it the year before because I was working, where you go, and just watch, the Elf Christmas movie all together. And so that's what we did, last year as a friend group. And we had so much fun doing that, because they give you like these little like snowball things to throw at the movie screen. So it was kind of fun. And they give you like little, like the little Buddy the Elf hats and candy canes. So something where it doesn't cost, a lot of money. And my friends and I had a really good time going and enjoying that. So just small things that maybe don't cost a lot, and really enjoying that, that season, and not stressing yourself out of trying to do all the things. I know recently I was getting like burnout with work, trying to do like all the things, especially in October with what I do. It's a busy time for us, like employee health and occupational health nurses, with running our flu clinics. We also went to a new computerized system the following week, surveyors that took our volunteers from the flu clinic. Also big projects that were due at the end of October that had to get signed off by everybody, showing all the work that we've basically done for the whole year. And then uploading all the flu vaccines we did, and the consents and the declinations. So, and where we're still going for that, and then scanning in like all the records for the new computerized system we went to. So all of us have been busy doing that, and thankfully now we're kind of like transitioning back to like a new normal for us. That month is really busy, and like me and some of the newer nurses in the room, we didn't know how busy we were going to be. And that's okay, because thankfully I have flexibility, a little bit of flexibility in my job. And so it kind of does work out some days rather than other days. And thankfully I do have, support. And when it comes to the holidays, like I said, you don't have to do all the things, because you're just going to run yourself ragged and get sick. And then that's not good to anybody. It's not good to you. It's not good to your family. So make sure you're really taking care of yourself. And I would also say, journal this time of year, not just about gratitude. I know this is Thanksgiving, and, people will say, journal, what you're grateful for. I would, suggest journal your feelings about the season, because I know for a lot of people it's a really difficult and heavy season right now with so much going on, and the holidays being stressful for a lot of people, which I call the holidays, and call it like Mary's Annex Day instead of Merry Christmas, because for some people it can be so stressful because you're trying to compete with other people that you do not know, that don't know your life. So that's why I'm saying, set realistic expectations, have those conversations, with your family about, the budget and finances around gift giving and how you're going to make that work for your family. And there's no shame in that. I think there's so much shame when people talk about money and finances, unfortunately, instead of being a little bit honest with each other about what is really going on, so you can really, celebrate the holidays. The holidays is not something you need to be going in debt for. I know everybody wants to give, like their kids or grandkids, the perfect Christmas. Really is all they want is like time. Couple of toys, depending on the kids, but they just really want to spend, time with their friends, friends and family. And that's what it's really, really about. And I know a lot of people this season, are grieving losses of, could be your first holiday, without a parent, without a child, without a loved one, or, empty nesters, or, even if you're, family, friends still physically here, maybe they live on the other side of the world or country. I know my niece lives in Europe, and, where you're still missing them, but where they have gone on and now they're in a different season of their life. And where they'll call in FaceTime, but maybe they just can't come home this year for the holidays due to, schedules or expenses or whatever the situation is. And I think a lot of times with the holidays, we set these unrealistic expectations, and then sometimes we get disappointed, and that's why they call it, the, Christmas blues is like that letdown from the stress, from everything that's going on. And I don't want you all, to have to go through that and experience that. So it's okay to journal, what's going on. I know for a lot of people, like I said, this is a season of grieving for some people, a season of change and transformation. And it's what I try and do is journal what I'm grateful for, but I also journal like what I'm learning, what I've done well at, and I've even, write down, things I love about myself, things I'm, doing well. And then, there's things, like I am working on. I think we're all a work in progress. And it's not a competition. I know many people on social media, you're seeing somebody who might be a little bit further, in their career or where they are, financially. And sometimes we don't know what it took for them to get there. And yes, a lot of my friends are, very successful. And I know, that they have worked with integrity and have, worked their butts off to get where they're at. And I'm like happy for them. I am like, that is great. And I will be the first one celebrating them. However, some people just aren't there yet, and that's okay. So don't compare yourself, or, when you see, the, quote, perfect, Christmas picture of the family or the perfect, Christmas tree, understand a lot went into that, and that tree is only looking good for, a couple moments, maybe a couple weeks, then it comes down. You don't know, the arguments that maybe went into like putting up that tree, getting the ornaments, and don't worry about it being perfect. I think that's where a lot of these unrealistic expectations come in for the holidays, trying to be everything to everybody, wanting to make it perfect or wanting to make it better than, maybe how you had it as a kid. And it's, like I said, not a competition. And, just really, take that self-inventory of where you're at, what you're feeling, and, different ways you can cope through the holiday season. And I know, like, one of the things I have done, especially with my dad and stepmom, when we had to go, like, other places where I might not have wanted to stay like too long. A lot of times I gotta use work as an excuse. That's always a good one. But also, we would have what we called the escape plan. And because certain family members you can only tolerate for a certain amount of time, and that's okay. I'm that way with some people too. I get it. I am not judging. I am right there with you. And so what we came up with my dad and stepmom, because some of the family members we would, go to together, just made sense. And we didn't want to stay all day, or, we wanted to, show them that we loved them, we cared, spend time with them. Yet we didn't want to spend the whole day because we knew after maybe a certain point, people get, antsy, that we wanted to leave, on good terms before, things were said that you cannot take back, and with a couple family members. So we had what we call the escape plan. We had like code words of, something, and then we would be like, okay, hey, we gotta, leave now. We gotta see other people. We, had to go to work or whatever. But also have that game plan going into certain friends, family, co-working situations, for the holidays, if it's, a holiday party, and especially if you're like feeling uncomfortable or don't know how you're going to feel when you're there, take your support person, if it's your partner, whomever, and really, before you go to the event, have that plan, plan. It really does help. I love having that plan. It has helped my anxiety with some people, just being around them. And then I also knew, like, okay, I only have to tolerate this for, a little bit. And sometimes it was, and yes, it was my choice to tolerate it or to go. But, there's some family, then it's like, okay, well, then am I gonna, regret not going? And I think as, sometimes as our family, members get older, that's something we, can struggle with at times. They will say, do what's best for you. Like, nobody's, perfect. And, sometimes, I know I don't say everything correctly. And, with families, there can be, miscommunication, just like friends. And so for the holiday season, try and give that other person maybe the benefit of the doubt. And you don't know what, they're going through. I'm not saying, that they get to, treat you like crap, but sometimes they might say something and they might, say it wrong. And I think in those cases, instead of maybe taking offense to it, is just maybe trying to see where that other person is coming from. I know, especially after, the election, people have different, feelings about it. And, maybe that's something that, you just tell your family, hey, we're not going to talk about this, or if they start talking about like, hey, I don't want to talk about this right now. Let's, change the subject. And that's okay. We've done that, with family members, like, hey, we're not talking about politics. We're not talking about this, right now. We can talk about like next time I come, that's not a holiday. And so those are maybe some tips of just approaching that. And like I said, I have the joy of missing out. I don't have, the fear of missing out on anything just because, my friends are doing it. I have friends, that are doing, different activities I'll see or going different places together. And I was like, oh, I wish, where part of me is like, oh, I wish, I could be there. And not in a jealous way, because I'm like, oh, great. They're having fun, and I'm happy for them. I had friends who just had gone to the, Taylor Swift concert, her last one, a couple weeks ago, and they had a great time. And I was, very happy for them. And I think you can be happy for people that are in different circumstances than you, that may be, a little bit more successful than you, and try and see like maybe what you can learn from them. I'm not saying copy everything they're doing, because then you're not being authentic to yourself. And I'm not saying copy them, but try and learn from them. I learn from people every single day. I learn from people that are, my age, people that are younger, people that are older. And I think sometimes, some people get to a certain age and they don't think that they can learn from people that are younger. I'm always learning from, people from, my friends in the online communities and, people at work. We have a lot of, newer nurses that I get to see, every day. And I get to share, my expertise and opinion with them on, some topics. And a lot of them are sharing, some new things that are, really cool, that have come to the forefront, like different products that help people with mobility, and seeing those is really great. Different apps and healthcare that people are, creating, especially since COVID. And it was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. I, wish I had known, more about that when I was their age. And, I tell them that, and I give them, that credit and that, respect, and let them know like, hey, if you need something, let me know, or want, my thoughts on it, which a lot of them will come to me because they know how long I've been in nursing, which is like 20 plus years. So a lot of them do respect my nursing background, which is nice, because with our new staff coming in, I treat them, pretty much all the same, and give them, the same respect and kindness. And some of them are ones that are just starting out, or this might be their first job in healthcare or their first nursing job, or, some are, transferring. So with the ones that are, new to healthcare, those appointments, I spend like a little bit extra, time with, and, like congratulating them and let them know the different, fields, especially for the nursing students. And having that approach with them and coming along the side of them and being a resource for them, and being able to share my experience and my love for nursing. And I think that's one of the great things about what I get to do on a daily basis. So I want you all, this week just to, stop and take, some time to really, reflect of, what do you want your holiday season to look like? What intention are you setting for the holiday season? What are your expectations? And have those conversations with friends and family, that you're maybe going to visit, or, for the ones that aren't here, that you're not visiting close by, when are you going to FaceTime them, to kind of have that ahead of time. So, so then maybe you're not like disappointed when, you're calling them and maybe they're busy. Maybe it's when, they're sitting down eating with that other family. So just different ways you can, avoid that, holiday stress. And like I said, kind of go in, with a plan of like how much money you're going to be spending, and spending, on gifts ahead of time. Like, who are you, buying for? And making those decisions now versus a couple, weeks from now, and getting, stressed out about it. Because that's no fun to be, stressed during the holidays. A lot of people get stressed with the cleaning and the baking. My friends actually, before I hopped on here, were texting me about like our holiday plans, and we were talking to our neighbors too about it, and they were like, because we said what we did last year was, we had lasagna and tiramisu, and just made it really nice, and neighbors and friends came over, and we, told them like, hey, we might be doing that this year. And they were like, really? And we're like, yeah, you can come on over. And then they were talking about all, the family like that they were inviting. And then they're like, yeah, we have to clean our house, before and after and all that. And we're like, yeah, if you need a break, y'all can come over here to our place, which was nice. And they really, enjoy that. Thankfully, I have really good neighbors. Our neighbors are so kind. Even our neighbors, like visitors, like wave. Our neighbors will always make sure, everybody's like, trashes to the curb if it's by the house, and take the garbage cans up. Our neighbors are they even help on the other side of the fence. They actually dig. They actually have a shovel and dig. So our puppy can go over, can, crawl under that fence and see the, dogs next door. And they take our puppy inside their house. And then like eventually she comes home and brings her home. So, yeah, our neighbors are like, family, but we're like, yeah, we're not like stressing ourselves out. And they were like, we can do that. We're like, yeah, you can choose not to have a whole ton of people in your house. You can just choose it, to be a few people. It's whatever's going to, make you happy, and be, less stress. Some people I know rotate who does the holiday baking, who does, where it's more of like a potluck. Certain people make certain things. And, a lot of people rotate, for family whose house it's going to be, if they kind of live close by. So I just really want you to, have a great, holiday season as it approaches. It's okay if you're grieving, and don't be competing with, everybody's, highlight reel from, social media about, the perfect, Christmas tree, that you're going to start seeing on Thanksgiving, or you might already be seeing them. Cause I know some people like, it's November 1st, Christmas carols go on and tree goes up. So I completely, understand. But just don't succumb to those pressures, because sometimes like we're the ones putting that pressure on ourselves. So I will see you all next week, and you guys all have a great night.